Recording. Get ready to accelerate your communication and your presentation skills. And good evening, everyone. I'm Sergeant at Arms Dr. Sunny. As we get I'm still in meet and greet. Hold on. Good evening, everyone. I can't even remember where I'm supposed to be right now, but this is the meeting of online presenters. We are an advanced Toastmasters Club, and I'd like to share with you guests. We're so glad that you're here. And if you are interested in being a part of this club, you should be a current or former active member of Toastmasters International, completed at least 6 Toastmasters official speeches, and if you have presentation and speech experience, you may demonstrate your abilities in a 2 to 3 minute speech delivered during one of our club meetings. All requests for membership are subject to approval by our club members. Oopsie. We are a global club and we have many members from around the world. Please be aware of language or comments that may be sensitive so that we respect everyone's culture. And a few housekeeping notes. Please mute your microphone when you're not speaking. And guess what? This meeting is being recorded, as it should be, and your face or audio may be included. If you don't want to be included, please check in the chat and there'll be instructions on how to opt out. And now, please help me introduce our club president, Joni Laidlaw. Welcome, Joni.
Thank you, Sunny, for that warm introduction. It's the end of the month, and that always brings an addition of education to online presenters. But before we get into that, we do have a lot that we have to transition through, starting with it is time for our elections. Now, the head of our election committee is immediate past President Marianne Grady, and she will be letting us know the slate of candidates for our elections. Marianne, over to you.
Why, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, my friends. One of the privileges of being immediate past president is that you get to help shape the leadership for the club going forward. And after thoughtful consideration, the nomination committee, which consists of myself, Andy Byrne, and David Carr, have put together a recommended slate of officers for the coming year. These individuals have stepped forward with a spirit of service and a desire to help our club continue to grow and thrive. It's important to remember that this is not a final decision. Our process allows for nominations from the floor, and any member in good standing may choose to run for a role. With that in mind, it is my pleasure to present the proposed slate. First, we have the role of president, who leads the club and sets direction. And for that, we have Mr. David Carr, DTM. For the Vice President of Education, who manages meetings and member progress, that is Annie Martin, DTM. Vice President of Membership, brings in and retains members, that would be Graham Cairns, DTM. Now, the Vice President of Public Relations promotes the club externally, and that will be Allie Blakeman. Secretary keeps records and meeting minutes. And this is a repeat performance by Dr. Andy Byrne, DTM. Treasurer handles finances and dues. That is Sarah Idahan, DTM. And our Sergeant at Arms, who sets up meetings and maintains order, will be Karthika Devi Venkataram. And of course, our immediate past president in the next year will be Joni Laidlaw, and she will serve in the capacity as advisor and supporting our leadership. So please join me in thanking these members for their willingness to lead, and remember to attend our meeting on May 4th when we will hold our club election for the 26-27 Toastmaster year. Back to you, President Joni.
Thank you, Marianne, and everyone. Can we have a round of applause for the members of our clubs who have stepped forward? It's not an easy task to take on being a part of the executive, so thank you for putting yourself out there to be a part of it. Did I tell you we had a lot to do before we got into the education segment? New blood. It's always important for the life of the club because it brings in different personalities, a new perspective, and it shows that the club is growing. Now, we are currently at 21 members, soon to be 22, which means that we are actually just 3 to 4 members away from being Smedley Distinguished. Now, the woman who is responsible for getting us there, who has brought us this far over the 20 mark, which is not easy because a lot of clubs have not hit it. So we have to say, excellent job. But she'll be inducting our new members. Please, rousing round of applause for the hard work for Allison Blakeman.
Thank you, Madam President Joni and fellow online presenters. And if Dr. Sunny, if you may, can you spotlight myself, San Giovanni, and John, please? That is possible. All right, fellow Toastmasters, it is now our duty and privilege to induct San Giovanni and John into our Online Presenters Toastmasters Club. This is an important occasion for both San Giovanni and John, and for our club as well. They have come to Online Presenters Toastmasters seeking to improve their communication, leadership, and online presentation skills. We now have an opportunity to help them learn, grow, and achieve their goals. Please withhold your applause until the ceremony has been completed. John and San Giovanni, you are joining Online Presenters, a club within a worldwide organization that has helped more than 4 million people learn to communicate more effectively. As members of Online Presenters Toastmasters Club, you will benefit from a proven program of self-development. You will become part of an outstanding group of people who are dedicated to helping one another in a spirit of sharing and enjoyment. As experienced Toastmasters, we are now tasked to help them get off to a good start. Membership in this club and in Toastmasters International is a privilege that carries with it many rewards. Yet it also places certain obligations upon you. We are a group of people brought together to do things we could not accomplish alone. Our collective obligation is to grow and improve ourselves, to share our knowledge and experience with our fellow members in a spirit of enjoyment. This means you must work diligently toward your own self-development, evaluate other speeches in a spirit of support and sharing, assist our club in reaching its goals, remain positive, and keep a smile on your face. We ask you, our new members, to dedicate yourselves to personal growth, to share this great gift with your fellow members, and to help keep this Toastmasters Club strong and dynamic. Do you, San Giovanni and David, in the presence of your fellow members of the Online Presenters Toastmasters Club, make this firm obligation to attend meetings regularly, prepare fully for each assignment, to apply yourself to the projects outlined in the Toastmasters Education Program, to participate actively in club meetings, to evaluate others in a positive, constructive manner, to build open, friendly relationships with your fellow members, to invite other new members into the club so that they also can gain the benefits of Toastmasters. Do you agree?
Yes, I do.
And John, do you agree?
Yes, I do.
All right. We, the members of Online Presenters Toastmasters Club, we pledge to support you in your quest for self-development, to provide you with positive, helpful evaluations, to maintain a friendly, supportive atmosphere, to give you opportunities to help others, and to make your Toastmaster membership a rewarding and fulfilling experience. Fellow members of Online Presenters, please unmute your microphones, turn on your webcams, and let's give a round of applause and a hearty congratulations and welcome San Giovanni and John to our beloved Toastmasters Club.
Yay, welcome to all of us.
Welcome, John. Welcome, San Giovanni.
Thank you, fellow members, and back to you, Madam President.
Thank you, Allison, for that induction and getting our new members in. Now, we do have two guests, and normally in some Toastmasters meetings, we comment from the guests in the beginning. In our case, we wait until the end. So we're going to ask that you stick around to check it out, because it makes no sense to ask you for the comment beforehand. We want you to be a part of it, get to see what happens. But we'll also put how you go about being a part of Online Presenters, because I know we will wow you. That's also in the chat for you. So I look forward to our guests sticking around until the end for our guest comments. Phew, that was a lot, right? We accomplished so much for today, and we look forward to doing a lot more. An educational feature. Now, it's always interesting to wonder what happens when it comes to a contest. Well, our Vice President of Education, Graham Cairns, has put together an education feature on just that, contest prep. Now, I hear it's about your temperament, but sometimes I may need to work on. So this might be a good educational feature for me, but I'm going to turn it over to him to turn it over to our Toastmaster of the day for our educational feature. Over to you, Graham, to tell us about your brainchild.
Thank you, President Joni. Yes, as mentioned, and for our guests and anybody watching the replay, this club tries at the final meeting of each month to have an educational session, something that is a little different to the standard Toastmasters meeting. And in this one, because many of our members are members of more than one club, in those other clubs, there will be competitions starting very, very soon. And competitions are an important part of the Toastmasters experience. So today, we're actually going to look at competitive speaking in Toastmasters contests. Throughout the meeting, you'll hear speakers giving competition speeches, or talking about competition speeches, or in one case, talking about judging of competitions. Plus, of course, we'll have table topics and lots of other stuff. So that's the purpose of this meeting. It is to look at how and why we compete, and how and why we can succeed when we compete. So with that, please allow me to hand control of the meeting to the Toastmaster of the day. Please welcome Sima. Yay!
Okay, thank you, Graham. So, Madam President, fellow Toastmasters and guests, thank you for that wonderful introduction, and welcome to Online Presenters Toastmasters. My name is Simar Thallen, and I'm honored to be your Toastmaster of the day. And tonight's theme is Grill the Contest. Contest season is where speakers grow through preparation, courage, and feedback under pressure. Tonight is about learning, sharpening our skills, and supporting one another. Our word of the day is temperament, a person's natural way of thinking and behaving. Strong temperaments help speakers stay calm, confident, adaptable under pressure. As Toastmaster of the day, it's my responsibility to introduce today's speakers, roles, and as we conclude the meeting, I will ask for reports and call on that topic is not, the vote counting is not in this section today. So then I will then return control of the meeting to the President before we conclude today. To help us begin, please welcome our tip of the day speaker, Graham Cairns, Graham Cairns is a distinguished Toastmaster whose experience and dedication have helped many members grow in communication and leadership. Graham, over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sima. I'll be presenting a tip of the day, which is another thing that this club does on a regular basis. And as I was checking my notes, I noticed that it was 10 years ago in this very club that I spoke about the power of three in public speaking and training delivery. And it remains as true today as it was then, and as true as it was in the days of Aristotle. Well, the ancient Greek orator's rule of three was about using three types of argument: appeals to logic, appeals to emotion, appeals to character. He also pointed to using triples as a way to help the audience remember what you said. It's a handy hint that stood the test of time. I mean, consider how easy it is to remember liberty, equality, fraternity, or vini vidi vici, I came, I saw, I conquered. Other examples include see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil, and even the ubiquitous skin cancer slogan used in Australia, slip, slop, slap. That is, slip on a shirt, slop on a sunscreen, slap on a hat. That last one, though, is an interesting case study. The campaign has since been modified to be slip, slop, slap, seek, slide, which adds seek shade and slide on sunglasses. But the campaign is nowhere near as effective as it once was, because the addition of the extra two memory joggers, we can easily remember three things, but five starts to crowd things out of our brain. So go back to three. If you want your audience to get an idea, you can do far worse than the triple of tell them, tell them, tell them. In Lewis Carroll's Hunting for the Snark, he wrote, "What I tell you 3 times is true." Now, obviously, simply repeating something doesn't make it true. Otherwise, the internet would be an entirely different place. But what he wrote contains a kernel of wisdom for those who make informative presentations. The tell, tell, tell technique is tried and true, whether you're teaching a class, speaking in a Toastmasters meeting, or delivering a keynote address to a group of your peers. The technique is this: outline to your audience what you're going to tell them, deliver the information in detail, and then remind them of the key points of what you just said. This has got the impact of priming the audience to be receptive, giving them the information they need to take away, and reinforcing your key points. Audiences are most likely to remember the first thing that we say or do, because we make almost instant judgments based on first impressions. And they'll also remember the last thing you say. I mean, that's just how we are wired. So if your first and last things point to the middle where the meat of your information is stored, then you have a much better chance of them remembering it, which you will notice is exactly what I did with this tip of the day. Toastmaster Simmer.
Thank you, Graham. Excellent tip. Thanks for sharing. Behind every great meeting is a team that keeps everything running smoothly. Tonight, we are supported by members who help us stay on the time, stay engaged, and celebrate our speakers. So let's meet our role holders for this evening. Our timer is Johnny Laidlaw. Johnny, please introduce yourself and explain your role.
As the timer, it's my job to keep us get this in time, and I'll do that by changing the background. So for 5 to 7 minutes, green at 5, yellow at 6, red at 7. For our evaluators, green at 3, 3:30, and 4. For table topics, it's green at 1, 1:30, and red at 2 minutes. Now, for special presentations that have already been given the time, if you notice the trend, it's with 3 minutes left, with 2 minutes left, and then at the exact time that we will be counting down. And I'll change my background. You will be able to see me because I will now be using the raised hand feature where I will be at the top of everyone's screen. Back to you, Simmer.
Okay, thanks, Johnny. So now let's move to our chat monitor. Please, our chat monitor is Android today. Am I saying the name right? Yes, thank you. Please introduce yourself and explain your role.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster of the evening. I'm Andres Marenka. My role for today is to chat monitor. As Online Presenters Club, we proud ourselves with having this role, and I personally love it. I think it's one of the most important roles in Toastmasters online clubs. Because why? My role is to monitor chat and encourage participants to use chat extensively. Anything you want to talk about desirably related to the meeting theme, please put it in the chat. And outstanding comments and naughty comments, I will refer them at the end of the meeting. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the evening.
Thank you. Thanks, Andre. Now it's time for the heart of our meeting, our prepared speakers. So our first speaker today is Carl Walsh, is a business coach, award-winning actor and director, graduate of the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts, and co-founder of Alpha Dog Consulting Group. He will be presenting a level 1 mastering fundamentals speech titled Don't Wing It, Win It. Please help me welcome Carl Walsh. Carl, the stage is yours.
You're muted.
You're muted. 11, 3, 4.
You don't lose a Toastmasters contest speech on stage. You lose it in preparation. I learned that as an actor, and it's true as a speaker. I've watched speakers with stronger stories walk off empty-handed, while someone with a simpler idea took the room and the judges. Not because their story was better, but because the speech was simply built better. So here's what I want to give you today. A simple way to prepare a contest speech that actually competes, not just something that sounds good in your head, but something that lands with an audience and holds up. Because great contest speeches aren't written. They're built, edited, tested, and performed. And it starts in one place: message. I'm sorry, folks, I'm having a little bit of technical difficulty here. If you'll pardon me just a second. Now, message. Most people skip this step or rush it. Now, before you write anything, you need to answer one question clearly. What do I want them to think, feel, or do? And that sounds pretty simple, doesn't it? It isn't. Because the temptation is to say, well, a little of this, a little of that, and that's exactly how good speeches get diluted. Contest speeches that win usually have one clear idea running all the way through. And very often it's personal, not because that's required, but because it's real. And real connects. The best advice I ever got as a playwright was to write about something you know personally, not something you read, not some movie you saw, but something you know personally. And if that message isn't clear to you, it won't be clear to them. And if it's not clear, it won't be remembered. So this is where you get disciplined. One message clear enough that, I'm sorry, we have a lot going on here in the room. We have a little crisis going on here, so you'll have to excuse me here. Okay, I'm going to wait till that all stops. All right. So I will Start that again. If the message isn't clear to you, it won't be clear to them. And if it's not clear, it won't be remembered. So this is where you get disciplined. One message clear enough that you could say it in one sentence and defend it. Next is structure. Now you build a speech so that the message actually lands. This is where a lot of people rely on instinct. And sometimes that works. In a contest, that's a gamble. You want a structure that guides the audience without them noticing that they're being guided. Start with a hook that creates curiosity and a promise that tells them why they should care. Ask a question or make a statement that challenges accepted thinking. Then move through the body with a few clear turns, not a list of ideas, but movement, a shift of before and after, problem to insight, confusion to clarity. And if you want drama, drama is contrast. Not sad stories, not tears. Sadness and tears come from contrast, from light to dark and back to light. That's where drama comes from. That's where sadness and tears come from. And then the close. This is where speeches separate. The best ones don't just end. They resolve. They circle back. They pay off something you set up in the beginning. Now, judges may score categories, but what they remember are moments. Structure and contrast create those moments. And now we get to the part that decides who wins the contest. Rehearsal. And this is where people think they're ready, and they're not. You don't memorize a contest speech and hope it holds. You internalize it so you can live inside of it. That means getting it on your feet, saying it out loud, feeling where it drags, where it rushes, where it doesn't quite land. You record it. Watch it back. That's not always comfortable, but it's where the truth is. You test it in front of real people, a club, a small audience, anyone who will give you an honest reaction. Normally, your club loves you, but find people who will give you honest feedback. And then you do something most people hate, and they avoid it. You cut. You take out anything that doesn't serve the message, no matter how much you like it. Sometimes you have to cut your babies because your first draft isn't your speech. It's your raw material. And then there's performance. Now, you've finally earned the right to focus on delivery. Now, the pauses matter. Now, the eye contact matters. Now, your voice carries meaning instead of just words. You don't need to add theatrics. You need to let the speech breathe where it's already strong. Performance won't rescue a weak speech, but it will absolutely elevate a strong speech. And now let's come back to where we started. You don't lose a contest speech on stage. You lose it in preparation, preparation, preparation. But when the message is clear, the structure is doing its job, and you've put in real rehearsal, something shifts. You don't walk on stage hoping it works. You walk on knowing what it's built to do. And that's a very different feeling. Build it carefully, test it honestly, own it completely. And then go in. Back to you, Madam Contest Master. And I apologize to everyone for everything that's going on here.
Thank you, Carl. I love it. Excellent speech, actually, the ideas and the preparation. You put emphasis on the preparation. I always say in my meeting, preparation is better than erosion. So that's really great ideas. So now let's move to our next speaker. Our next speaker is Graham Cairns. He will be presenting a level 1 mastering fundamental speech titled Contest Speech Replay. Please help me welcome Graham. Graham, please begin.
Thank you, Sima. This speech, which you'll see in a moment, is actually the speech which won the District 69 International Speech Contest last year. And it uses a lot of what Carl was talking about, but it also shows what can go wrong when you've done all the prep, but you still manage to lose it on stage. This, as I say, won at District 69, did not get beyond that through to the semi-finals. It's a speech that's important to me, but it also shows me when I, as Carl says, went back and watched the replay, what I needed to do to change it. So what I'm going to do is share a video file, and this will take me a moment or three to find it because I was going to do this differently, but now I'm only going to be doing this speech. So you'll see this is actually a recording of the speech given at the District 69 Speech Contest in May last year. It was a year ago. It's no longer going to be a winner anymore after this, but I do get to go along and be the contest Toastmaster this weekend. So here we go with, well, you'll hear, refine me, not define me.
Contestant number 5, are you ready?
To be sure, to be sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Graham Cairns. Refine me, not define me. Refine me, not define me, Graham Cairns.
The year was 1970, Mr. Toastmaster, friends. I was 12 years old, going on 13, and apparently a good-looking young rooster. I don't know what happened, but they tell me I was fresh-faced and really, quite cheerful. So imagine, if you can, this 12, 13-year-old Graham discovering who he is and who he's going to become. Now I'd like you to imagine a man of authority, a man of God, a Baptist preacher, a Christian boys' camp organiser, a groomer, a pederast, a man who, quite frankly, stole my innocence from me. A man who was supposed to be praying for our souls, but instead was preying on lads who were not yet young men, but were caught up in that maelstrom of emotions and hormones that are puberty. A man who cut me out from the herd, who isolated me from all of the other boys in the camp. A man who showered me with attention. A man who showered me with affection. A man who showered with me in his private cabin. Before I go any further, I want to give you a statistic, ladies and gentlemen, that horrifies me and I hope will horrify you. In this room, 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men were probably abused, sexually abused, as a child or a teen. By doing what he did, this man made me part of that statistic. And yet, I'm not angry at his betrayal so much as I am disappointed. Because this man of God, this preacher who called himself Uncle John, he was a weak man. Yes, he was a pathetic man. But he taught me a valuable lesson, and that lesson was this: all of us have feet of clay. All of us are susceptible to temptation. Some will succumb to that temptation. Others will examine that temptation, will analyse that temptation, and will reject that temptation. We all have that choice. I have to be honest, I haven't always observed that choice as well as I should. I fell prey to the temptation of sensationalism once in my career as a journalist, and I very nearly destroyed that career. But I would gladly have given that a career away if I could bring back the life of a young boy who may have died as a result of my reporting. It's 1988. I'm now 30 years old, the father of 2 fine young children. I'm a rising journalist working for the largest radio network in Australia, in South Australia, and I'm assigned to cover a coronial inquest into what were known as the family murders. These were a series of slayings where teenage boys and young men were being kidnapped, abused, tortured, and murdered. And as part of my coverage, I and a colleague from a local television station seemed to get involved in some sort of arms race where we were ratcheting up the prurient coverage, getting the most sensational details that we could, trying to build the biggest possible audience. Until the unthinkable happened. 2 morally bankrupt and mentally deficient brothers decided they'd like to see what it felt like to replicate the crimes that we were reporting on a daily basis. And so they kidnapped a young boy from outside his home, they abused him, they murdered him, and they dumped his body in a wheelie bin. Their names do not matter, but his name does. His name was Sean Phillips. He was 6 years old. He was bright, vivacious. He was a really great kid. And he was dead, perhaps in part because of my hubris in my reporting. Now, I know about Sean Phillips because I knew Sean Phillips. Sean was in my children's class at school. And now he was dead. I very nearly gave up journalism at that point, so ashamed of what I had become. But a mentor took me aside and said, no, that's the easy way out. Be better. And he's right. I had the choice to let that define who I was, or I could use it to refine who I was to become. And every journalism student that I have ever taught, every young journalist that I have ever mentored, every time this conversation comes up, I tell this story so that they will not make that same mistake. We all have a choice. And that choice is, when we face a crisis, and you will, when that crisis threatens to melt you down into a slurry of self-pity and of doubt, and that can happen, then you have a choice. You can either allow what's happened to define who you are, or you can use it to refine who you'll become. I have a mantra that helped me through that time and has helped me through all of the crises I have faced ever since. And that mantra is, let life's lessons refine me, not define me. Let me say that again for you. Let life's lessons refine me, not define me. Say it with me. Let life's lessons refine me, not define me. One more time. Let life's lessons refine me, not define me. Contest Toastmaster.
Thank you, Graham. Such an engaging and mind-blowing speech, I would say. I really loved it. I like that refine me but not define me. I take it as grow without losing your identity, which is a great message. Now let's move to our next speaker, David F.Carr. David shares that while he may not match today's other speakers in contest wins, He has served as a chief judge at the district level and has even designed his own unofficial contest format, the webinar contest. Tonight, he will offer insight into how Toastmaster contests are judged, how fairness is built into process, and the role that luck can sometimes play in who reaches the winner's circle. His speech title is How You Are Judged. Please help me welcome David F.Carr. David, over to you.
Thank you. I'm dropping a couple of links in the chat. I don't really want you to click on them right this moment. They're just there for you to follow up on later. We mentioned briefly the webinar contest. So I'm not really sure why I'm in this lineup, because I haven't competed on the same level that Graham has, and Carl actually went to the international speech contest 1 year. I have been somewhat on the organizing side. I have gotten up to district as chief judge, although actually I got in trouble that year because there's something in the rule book that says after all the ballots are collected, you're supposed to destroy the evidence so nobody can reconstruct how people voted. But I apparently did that before I wrote down the exact order of all the winners. And the idea is that maybe everybody who won the first, second, and third place winners could all get sick or not be able to attend, and you'd have to go to the fourth and fifth. And anyways, we resolved it somehow or other. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the process of being judged in these contests and how you make it from one level to the next, and some of the uncertainties in that process too. Now, actually, at Online Presenters, if you're only a member of Online Presenters, you're not going to really be competing beyond the club level, because the way Toastmasters International has things structured, there's really no contest that an undistricted club like Online Presenters can participate in. And we're undistricted for historical reasons. I guess if the club was being started today, I suppose it would be attached to District 47. But as of right now, Jim Barber and I are the only two members of this club who are in District 47. And, it wouldn't be very useful for Graham to advance to the area contest and have to fly halfway around the world to be able to compete. So we don't do a lot of that. A few years ago, there was something called the Video Speech Contest that was set up so that undistricted clubs could participate in it. But they decided if you were a member also of a districted club, then you were excluded, and that applies to most of our members. So we don't do that either. We do this thing called the webinar contest, and this is the shiny, no, it's over here, the shiny virtual trophy that you stand to win if you win the webinar contest. But that is just our own made-up creature. And the fun thing about it is we get to throw out a bunch of the actual rules of Toastmasters International. Like, we decided it's a silly rule that the judges should have to be anonymous. So in our contest, the judges aren't anonymous. The rule structure is a little bit different. But let's talk about why the structures do exist. And also, I did want to share with you this comment from Lisa Montalvo, who is the 2024 World Champion of Public Speaking. She says, don't make this mistake, essentially. Don't walk out of the contest and kick yourself. And Graham sounds like he's kicking himself for something. I'm not quite sure what it was, because that was a great speech. But the fact is that when you get to a certain level, if you do everything right, if you don't make the mistake that Carl was talking about, if you don't lose the contest through lack of preparation, well, that doesn't necessarily mean that your preparation is going to win the contest for you. It may just be the people who show up, the people who are judges on that particular day, heard you give a story about your dog and they hate dogs. And so they don't vote for you for that reason. I was at the District 47 contest over the weekend. When I got to the second speaker, I was trying to follow along. I wasn't an official judge. I was just filling out the ballot that they had on the back of the program. And I gave the second speaker top marks and everything. Oh, wow, she was fabulous. And then I did the same thing with the third speaker and the fourth speaker. And pretty soon I had 5 number one place winners because they were all speaking at a very high level. And maybe the person who actually walked away with the prize, I would say, was maybe not the best one. I don't know. Was very good. Was very good, but I liked somebody else better. Anyways, it is somewhat the luck of the draw. It is the draw of where you wind up in the speech order. Because the person who won in my district contest was the last person who spoke. And I wondered if it wasn't a little bit of recency bias going on there. Jim Barber gave me some lessons on how to prepare for these sort of things, navigate these sort of things a few years ago. And part of what he explained to me was that, yes, there are lots of fussy little rules in the Toastmasters speech rule book, but they're all there for a purpose. They're all there for the overall purpose of making sure that everybody is judged equally. And that's what this score sheet is designed to do, is to guide people to not just whoever tickled their fancy, but how many points should they get for speech development? And you can give a maximum of 15 points for speech development. You can give a maximum of 25 points for speech value. So they want it to have some actual value. And this is what teachers call a rubric. This is a formula for scoring or evaluating or grading the speeches. And I think that I know when I'm judging, I'll try and follow it in general, but usually when I get to the end, the scores might not quite align with what I really think who is going to be first, second, and third. And ultimately, it does come down to you're right at the bottom of the form, the piece that you hand to the ballot counter is the thing that says first, second, and third. It doesn't say anything about what the intermediate scores are. You're supposed to be following this so that you do judge them equally as much as you can. But it's very hard. It's very hard as a judge to be completely equal, completely fair, to not favor the person that you know a little bit better, maybe outside of the contest, or the person whose speech particularly resonated with you. And so don't expect complete, absolute, perfect in an absolute vacuum in an ideal world judging on your contest speech. Do the best you can. Now, if you walk off that stage and you realize that you forgot a whole section of the speech that really would have made it, then maybe Carl's point is what you need to fall back on, is that you need to prepare and practice a little bit more next time. But if you gave it your best and you wound up second, third, or not even placed, it may just be the luck of the draw. And so keep that in mind, keep it in perspective, and sign up for the webinar contest if you'd like to compete in something different through this club. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, David, for giving us a valuable behind-the-scene perspective on judging process that is unique and it's good to know. So now we move to one of our most exciting part of our meeting is table topics, where we practice thinking on our feet. So Sunny is going to host this session. So please welcome our topic master, Sunny Fridge.
Hello, fellow Toastmasters. Actually, I've been much better about paying attention to time. So I may only have time for maybe 2 because my time actually is already up, but I'm going to try at least for one Toastmaster of the day. So now that we've heard powerful insights from our speakers on contest preparation, it's time for you to take the stage. So I'll invite a member and then a guest to respond to questions inspired by contest prep, your mindset, your strategy, maybe even your temperament. Let's see how you show up. Question 1. tell us about a speech you'd love to give one day. What would it be about, and why does it matter to you? Marianne Grady, tell us about a speech you'd love to give one day. What would it be about, and why does it matter to you?
Well, thank you, Madam Topics Master. Great question. For me, it would actually be a speech that I've given in the past, and I didn't feel like I did justice to the topic. And the topic was a sad one. It was about my little brother who drowned when he was 3 years old. And I've actually been thinking about doing it again because I feel like it's really important to keep people's memories alive and just kind of, I don't know, it means a lot to me. And I feel like when I give it again, I have a lot more experience under my belt. I will do a good job and make sure everyone hears about my brother and the experience that my family went through with his death. So for me, it would be another speech, like doing the same thing over, but in a different way. Back to you, Table Topics Master. Oh, I got to talk a little more, don't I? Because I didn't hit a minute. Oh, there we go.
Boom! and thank you very much. And hopefully we will get to hear your speech again in this club. Now, pretty practically everyone has a role tonight, but Sanjivani, please pronounce your name properly for me.
Sanjeevani. Yeah, it is right.
Sanjivani. All right,
Yeah.
listen, you're backstage or online about to speak. What's one simple strategy that you think you can use to steady your nerves and show up with confidence? We can all learn from you. You're backstage or online about to speak. What is one simple strategy you use to steady your nerves and show up with confidence?
Yeah. Thank you so much for the question. Uh, Definitely from my side, since I get nervous or I'm a bit hesitant to speak, so it will be deep breathing. Before the speech starts or before I give any presentation, definitely I will improve on my breathing techniques. Deep breathing helps me to calm my nerves and also like voice practice. Like say for example, singing, which will help me improve my mood. So I will go with that.
Thank you so much. Madam Table Topics, Madam Toastmasters Day, I believe I should give it back to you now.
Okay.
I'd love to ask a guest a question, but maybe after the meeting. Who knows?
Okay, no
Back
worries.
to you. Thank you so much, everyone.
Sandy, yeah. So we now move to our evaluation portion of our meeting, where growth is shaped through feedback. So please welcome our general evaluator, Kritika Venkataram. Please, Kritika, introduce yourself and lead this segment.
Thank you, Toastmaster Simmer. Hello, everybody. I'm Kritika Devi Venkatram, and I'll be the general evaluator for today. We will have, and I ensure that we will have a holistic view of today's meeting that's based on structure, timing, and organization. To get this, it's just not about a guidance or a positive feedback that is required for us. We need to learn from the feedback as well. We had 3 amazing speakers who have shared their experience how to grill the contest, the temperament that a person has to present on stage. It's useful in many instances. Okay. Sharing more about their thoughts, let's call evaluators, like how did they feel about their thoughts and how do they want them to be perceived. For this, first of all, I would like to call upon our first evaluator for today, and it's going to be Toastmaster Jim Barber. Toastmaster Jim Barber is going to evaluate guest speaker Carl Walsh speech. Toastmaster Jim Barber, the stage is all yours. Over to you.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. My fellow Toastmasters, Carl I don't know if you're here or not. I see your presence is there, but you may be off camera. Anyway, I want to tell you, I so enjoyed this presentation. I was looking forward to it. I wanted to hear your words of wisdom on winning a contest, and you did not disappoint. This was a great presentation. From the opening, you said, you don't lose contests on stage, you lose them in preparation. And I agree totally with that. That is so good. You before you get set foot on stage, the contest has been won or lost. That is so marvelously done. And then you back that up from that initial statement. This was a masterclass in speech writing and speech presentation. I loved everything that you did. What I liked best is that you walked your talk. You didn't just say something that had to be done properly, but you actually did it. You demonstrated. You didn't make a big deal of it, but you just simply showed it. For example, you talked about the importance of structure, and your speech itself tonight was well structured. You had a defined opening, closing. In between, you followed it step by step by step, what you were talking about. You reinforced the different points. You demonstrated structure while you talked about the importance of structure. I love that. This was also very real because one of the things you did not plan on was an unexpected crisis that occurred behind the scenes. We don't know what was going on. It was obviously distracting you a bit, but you handled it so well. Other people might have lost it completely, lost their cool, said, I cannot continue like this. You did not. You simply plowed ahead. You did a good job of that. It didn't bother you. It was obvious that something was going wrong, but it didn't throw you. It was a great presentation. I do have a couple of suggestions for you, very, very minor, because obviously I'm talking to a master here. But in this particular case, both of them deal with the crisis. You, as I say, you handled the crisis, whatever it was, you handled it very well, but you did apologize. You apologized for the problem that you had in this. You didn't cause it. It was something that you were trying to deal with as best you could, but no apology was necessary. You did the best that you could. We were on your side. No need to apologize. Just simply go ahead and handle it the way you did. The other thing is, and I suspect this was probably because of the crisis, you spent a lot of time, either you were looking down ever so slightly, or you were looking off to the side, not looking at the camera. And again, I think that was because whatever was going on in the background was bothering you, was distracting you, because normally you would know to keep your eyes focused on the camera. This was, again, a masterclass in presentation. And I've got to say before I leave that the temperament of your presentation, I got it in, was terrific. Looking forward to another one, Carl. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Toastmaster Jim. Generally, in educational feature, we will have a Q&A session. This gives us an opportunity to interact with the speakers. But this meeting is special where we will have a live evaluation of the speakers who are experts in the field. This gives you an opportunity to perceive what you want and how you have to present yourself. The second speaker did not speak, but he walked the talk. He showed his own presentation. We will have, I'm really surprised to see how this evaluation would be. For this, I would like to call upon the second evaluator. The second evaluator is going to be Carrie Cedar Green, and she'll be evaluating Toastmaster Graham Cairns' recorded video. Toastmaster Carrie Cedar Green, the stage is all yours.
Hi, it was a pleasure. My name is Carrie Cedar. Thank you, Jessica. I was evaluating Graham's speech tonight, and you set the stage when you started the speech by telling us that you're basically you're a vulnerable Toastmaster, not only in the recorded speech, but also in the beginning, talking about how you won and then how you did not win. And so that was good for setting the stage watching your speech was nothing but amazing. And a couple lines that stuck were be better and refine, not divine. It was a memorable speech that will stick with me, like the stories will stay with me. What you might want to work on, for me, I was a little bit confused in how, like, was I evaluating the speech that was videotaped? Like, I wasn't sure initially, but after a while I got it, where I was I was trying to evaluate the video speech. Very quickly within this speech, you had two hard topics that brought up a lot of, like, there's temperamental, like very, very hard topics. Overcoming sex abuse and I might have murdered somebody. Those were like very, very hard. So what I would say is, as a recommendation, is maybe warm up the audience before dropping the big bombs, because they were it changed my. I just got this gut feeling after I heard the speech. I will never forget the speech, but maybe do one serious topic per speech instead of two big bombs. I am curious. I was hoping at the end that you would tell us what happened with the loss, like when you didn't win that second speech contest, what happened? But I'm very glad that I was able to watch this speech. You're easy to listen to, and you're spot on as far as what Toastmasters should do in a speech contest. And I'm excited to learn from you going forward. Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Carrie. The third speaker for today is David F.Carr. He has presented a rubric, the international judging report, like how it is going to look like. For this, I'm going to call our third evaluator, Annie Martin, to evaluate David's speech. Annie Martin, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Kritika. I always wanted to say David F. Carr, and now I am. Yay, and I get to evaluate him for my first time. It was an absolute pleasure. I loved his humbleness and his honesty. He was very humorous. Oh, look, I haven't competed on the district stage like these other people. I have been chief judge. So he set up his authority, but in a way that had this endearing quality, almost a disarming quality of, oh, but I messed it up a little bit because I accidentally destroyed what I shouldn't have destroyed until, before the contest had entirely resolved. So we had a real humanness connection with David, and I really enjoyed that. He's eminently listenable because he's a real person there who's not ego, but he's just David F. Carr. Really, really enjoyed that. I loved the background. I had him pinned on my screen. He took up, I've got a big screen, and I could see the webinar trophy leading into this sort of galactic style with the illuminating on his face. His face was slightly off center, but that actually added to this is where we're looking. So if you saw him on the big screen, it was absolutely worth a look. It does lead me to my first recommendation, and that was, I felt that David's eyes were up there on the, presumably on his camera a lot, and I was just like, David, just come down a little bit, so that we can really see you. That's all it would have taken, and that would have been great. I don't know what anyone else does. I don't know if you can see that. Probably can't. Oh, well, no. Anyway, it's my smiley face that I put somewhere on my screen to go, I've got to look there. And then, David, we would even see more of the humanness that is you. The second recommendation is around the length of the speech. And I felt that there was a place for a whole other speech, and that is about how we as online presenters can have our own webinars. This is all news to me. I'd love to hear a whole other speech. And with that content taken out to be somewhere else, it could have allowed you to focus more on the actual message, which is really, how are you judged? Basically, is the judging fair, and allowed you to explore even more that beautiful letter of Louisa Montalvo to really lead us into that, to talk about the brown shoes, the black shoes, and do what you did so well at the end. And I need to hear this personally, and maybe others do, that, hey, you know, if you don't win or place where you wanted to, don't take it so personally. Maybe it's the luck of the draw. I love that message. It's a message that can stop us thinking, oh, I just give up. And it's what we need to hear. I thought you did that absolutely beautifully. I learned a lot from your speech, David. I learned that you can present such a good story in a disarming way that we can really connect with you. I loved looking at how you set up your background. Think about that eye contact, bringing it down where you can, and think about just focusing really on that one message of how are you judged, and making us feel better about it when we think we've been badly judged by those judges. Thank you very much, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Rainey Martin. Okay. I think, can we quickly have a timer report for the evaluators that could be posted on the chat?
The times are located in the chat, Madam General Evaluator.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Wow, wonderful. If that is done, I think once we have all the evaluations done, I will have a small kind of mirroring of today's session. We started the session 2 minutes late, though we ran the session with zeal and enthusiasm with 3 speakers who powerfully delivered 3 powerful messages. And one, the first message is how you have to present yourself and what are the ingredients that you need to take forward in your presentation. The second was what makes you to win in the contest, and the third was how you will be judged during your presentation. These 3 important messages gets us to step us into the foot of any international or national level contest, any speaking and speech-based contest, making ourselves comfortable before judges and peer audience. Said this, we did not have an opportunity to mention about the grammarian or the word of the day, which needs to be used during the session, which was unfortunate, though I see few people who have used it. Before getting into further evaluation, I would like to call upon my first special assistants who would be giving the evaluation on chat monitoring. For this, I have Andres Malingo as chat monitor for today. Andres Malingo, why don't you give us insights about today's session?
Thank you very much, Madam General Evaluator, my fellow online presenters. What an eventful meeting today with 3 great speeches, chats full of interesting and insightful tips. And so I would like to praise Carrie Gedergan, who started her conversation with a beautiful GIF, welcoming everyone in the club. One of my second favorites is Carl Walsh. Carl puts just a few tips out of his speech on preparing for the speech contest, which is really valuable considering Toastmasters season of contests. Also, Graham Cairns, he put contest judges guides and ballot papers so we could all see the criteria that judges will be using during the contests. And overall, I would strongly recommend saving this chat if you are considering taking part in the contest. How you can do it? Simples. On your top right-hand corner, you can see 3 dots over the meeting chats. Please press them and save the chat for your future records. Overall, it was eventful. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Andrew. In our online presenters meeting, we would have a watcher who would be watching us persistently to know how we performed online. This meeting did not have a watcher. Do we have a volunteer the same, a special note of what we saw today? If not, I'll just quickly give 2 to 3 seconds. If not, I'll just pass on. Okay, we'll pass on. Fine. Let me take the role of watcher. We did wonderful, and we all presented ourselves framing inside the screen, giving a beautiful presentation, and that's reflected in the photo which will be posted in the social media platform that you will see shortly in our social media page. Said that, we had a great meeting and insightful information from the speakers, and evaluators had their constructive feedback mechanism of having a third person's perspective of seeing any speech as well as the expert speech in turn giving a brilliant way of assessing the meeting on an overall in today's session. Consistency, commitment, and willing to win comes through practice. Practice, practice, practice. That gives you a way to win the contest. And that's the overall message in today's meeting. Before we get into our guest comment, I would like to call upon our president, and I'm handing over, the president or Toastmaster of the day. Do you have any other meeting agenda for today, or else I'll hand over to president as we are running short of time?
It's all good. I just wanted to thank you everyone who participated and supported tonight's meeting. So keep building your skills, trust your voice, and continue growing through every opportunity to speak. As we close tonight's meetings, let's remember that every skill may open doors, but temperament help us walk through them with grace. Thank you, everyone. So yes, the meeting can be handed to the club president, Johnny.
Thank
Madam
you.
Club President, over to
Thank
you.
you. Thank you, Toastmaster of the day. Today we discussed your temperament. We spoke a lot about being a contestant and preparing for it. And I know we learned a lot as it relates to tips, which is the point of the educational feature. Now, we didn't have any voting today because you know what? When it comes to education, we're technically all winners, right? Because we all gained tips, tricks, points, and learned some interesting things, as well as heard a speech that would not normally be given, but delivered in a way that you know could even be a district contest. With that, I'll say great educational feature, and I'll be adjourning our meeting.